And so is that where you ended up going to Cal State?
I certainly did. I certainly
So where did you go?
I went to Cal State Northridge.
A local, like one of the local campuses?
Yeah, one of the local campuses.
And so tell me a little bit about your experience as you entered college. What was that like? How did it align with what you expected?
When my excitement to get to Cal State Northridge sat with, I was now in an institution that probably 50% of us were students of color at Cal State Northridge. Alongside that, I also, even as quote unquote a good high school that I went to, I wasn't sure it fully prepared me to get into start college level work.
Man, back up. You at the time weren't sure, or you looking back, you think you weren't prepared.
I knew at that time I didn't, but even as I reflected, thinking, okay, I got there, and because I was actually placed initially in remedial English when I got there as well. So that was.
And do you think that was appropriate? Or was it your last name? And
it was a continuum of factors. I think so, and that happened. And I would say, as I look at the classrooms that I was in, it was mostly students of color who were in remedial English, entering the university system. Alongside that, I also was early on assigned a mentor because now I was quote unquote would be deemed at the language of at risk quote unquote because I start now a 4 institution with remedial English. Oh, she's probably not going to graduate, right? So the narrative just perpetuates itself around what it means that you start a 4-year college with not entering just regular English. But I was assigned someone that they did some college preparatory kind of classes, how you're going to succeed here, so on and so forth. So he was my first mentor, and I valued him because of the ways that he really said, like, these are the things we have to do, but this is the way you can do it, right? So it wasn't necessarily like, this is the book to get you through.
It wasn't prescriptive.
It was prescripted. Okay. And even as I still had a relationship with him even as I moved into graduate school as well. As I moved into undergrad, I was a psychology major and child development major and a minor in family environmental studies. So in that context, right, I met my undergrad mentor when I was 19. They actually had a research program through the National Institutes of Health that now train students of color to be researchers, right? So I took my class in developmental psychology, and that's how I met her. And she was interested in individuals of color, specifically working in her lab. So one thing I'll say, that in 8th grade, going back to 8th grade, I got this love for just research in science, but it came out of a classroom earth science where our teacher would take us out to the field. He would take us to the field. If we're going to study sedimentary rocks, we're going to go see what they look like, and we can find them, right? And so for me, I was fascinated. I was like, oh my gosh, I have so many questions about this damn rock. So I got excited about the scientific method then, right? So, and I always had a lot of questions.
The seed was planted early.
The seed was planted early, yes. And I was fascinated early on. I had a lot of questions, and I was like, how am I going to answer these questions I have? So then here I am at 19, I was able to start doing research at 19. So I worked with my mentor for my whole undergrad career. And it opened doors around what research possibilities were. And so I always say my first love was research.
Mm-hmm.
And then somewhere in there, I also love the idea of teaching young children,
Mm-hmm.
all happening together. But foundationally, I was just fascinated. Like, okay, I got all these questions. Now they can be answered with what? Methods that I was being trained in, and engagements around methodology, and really finding places where ultimately connected to my own experiences.